What's up, guys? Nick here again. And in today's lesson, I am going to show you how to best optimize your copy on your listing for maximum effect. Now, this is a super important part of optimization. You've, at this point, gotten a compiled list of keywords, and you have your primary and secondary keywords after the walkthrough that we did. And now what we're trying to do is we want to make sure that your listing has those keywords within the listing so that your listing can be found and targeted to the proper searches and everything else. So let's get started. So the ABCs of copywriting for A9. Now remember, A9 is what we had discussed in the previous lesson. That is the algorithm in which Amazon places relevant listings to relevant keyword searches. So we actually have inside information from Amazon, and they essentially have confirmed to us after talking to a product manager who works on the A9 algorithm that essentially the Amazon algorithm works to index the title, the bullets, the product description, the enhanced brand content, the backend search terms, and the subject matter field. These are the six key parts of the listing that get indexed. What does not get indexed are the question and answers and the reviews. So there's no point in decking out your questions and answers or decking out your reviews with false information, with keywords. Really what it comes down to is making sure your copy is maximized with the proper keywords. So again, we're going to go into detail on every single one of these, but just keep in mind, these are the 6 things that you're going to want to maximize and make sure are fully indexed for the keywords that you've researched. All right, so here are the tools that I like to use when it comes to actually writing my copy. And so I have a couple here listed. I mentioned a few before. Again, I've listed them based off of how expensive they are. Helium 10 is definitely expensive. Seller Tools also expensive, but both are really good options for being able to create a listing that allows you to essentially optimize your listing. ASIN Tools is a free option, so that's something that you can use as well. Letter Count is also a free option for you to basically count your characters. These are all useful tools. So if you're working on a budget, ASIN Tools can work. I personally really enjoy, and I mentioned this before, Seller Tools is definitely one of my favorite because it just makes the entire process seamless from beginning to end. So let's get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into every single section that gets indexed on Amazon. Let's start first with the title. So the title is one of the most important pieces. It's the first thing that people see in the search results, and there tends to be a 200 character limit. I find that the first 80 characters tend to have the most impact, and here's why. Remember, I mentioned that 50% of shoppers shop through their mobile phones. You can only see up to 80 to 100 characters when you're shopping and scrolling through search results. So in terms of conversions, that's definitely going to have the most impact. So you want to make sure that your primary keywords, the ones that you really want to target, are in the first 80 characters. In terms of the title, we want to make sure that we stack as many keywords as possible in a reasonable manner that makes it still legible and still within Amazon's terms of services. So as you're stacking keywords, I like to use commas or hyphens to separate features. A lot of people say, and Amazon recommends, that you include a brand name in your title. I personally found that it is not necessary. I usually include it at the end of my title just for brand recognition. But again, if you're going the pure optimization route, a brand name is not necessarily necessary, especially if you're big. But as you get bigger and you have a lot more SKUs, it might make sense. From our perspective, it does make sense because there's definitely more recognition. And yeah, so it might make sense in that way. In terms of a format, again, we're going back to the 80 characters. We want to make sure that the most important keywords are at the front. You stack them at the front, include the product name, keyword-rich features and benefits, and add as many of those keywords as possible until you hit the limit. Within reason, of course. So to kind of give you a sense of what that looks like, let's go in the next slide. Here, I provided for you 2 specific examples that I personally written, going back to the exercise ball example. Now, in the first one, you'll see I've bolded all the specific primary keywords that are really relevant to the product itself. So I have exercise ball, fitness, stability, yoga, slip resistant yoga ball, equipment, abdominal core workout, office chair, Pilates. Let's read it all out. Sturdy exercise ball with pump included for fitness, stability, balance and yoga, slip resistant yoga ball, excellent equipment for abdominal core workout, office chair, Pilates by Exercise Pros, red. So here I stack my primary keywords up front. It's pretty clear what my product is, what I've included, and I've also given them a use case for how they could use the product in many different scenarios. It's really ultimately an excuse for me to stack as many keywords as possible. I've included Exercise Pros at the end. Again, not necessary, but I personally like to do that. In the second example, you can see I've changed it up a little bit. So I've changed the product to a health-related product. It's a jump rope set. So let's go ahead and read it out. 2-pack, adjustable jump rope set and weighted speed cable with ergonomic anti-slip handles for CrossFit, boxing, MMA training. Excellent equipment for cardio, double under, skipping workout by Exercise Pros, black. Okay, so I really changed it up a lot here in the beginning, especially to do the 2-pack dash. Now, in my experience, we do multi-packs a lot, where if we see there's a 1-pack, we'll offer 2-pack in order to offer better value for customers. So if that's the case, we find that we get a lot better conversions, and I've experimented with this by putting the amount in that bundle in the beginning and front loading it. Again, my theory goes back to mobile. It's mobile friendly. When people are shopping on their phones, they can only see probably the first half of the title. So having the amount that they get through the beginning part of the title is really, really crucial. So in the beginning, I've stacked some primary keywords, weighted speed cable, adjustable jump rope, and I've stacked that also with how much I bundled that with the product. And in my experience, that's really positively impacted conversion. So if you're merchandising your product in a similar fashion, make sure to give this a try. Next, the bullets. So the bullets are the section that are to the right of the images and just right under the title and the price. So the character limit I found really varies depending on the category. Usually they're up to about 200 characters per line, but I have found that when you're in the grocery section, that severely limits down to anywhere from 50 to 70 characters per line. But ultimately, what you want to do with the bullets is you really want to use this as an opportunity to highlight your features and highlight why you're different, while at the same time maximizing the use of your primary and relevant secondary keywords here. The format I like to use right here, amazing feature, all in caps, and I try to summarize that sentence in a quick phrase, and then I stack it with explanation, further explanation with keyword, copy. And really, you want to repeat relevant keywords and make sure you're including as much information and keywords in there so that you can get indexed for all the relevant searches. So this is really just an opportunity to expand on that and make sure you get indexed. So make sure you take full advantage of this section. The next part is going to be the product description. Now the product description, remember, is under the special offers and discounts section. And so you are allowed up to 2,000 characters in this section, and this section does get indexed as well, contrary to popular belief. The goal here is you want to make sure your product description is legible. Unfortunately, Amazon makes this pretty complicated by not allowing you, or at least not providing you with any easy HTML editor to basically format your description. That's why we see so many crappy descriptions across the board. However, this is totally within your power to fix. You can use a tool. We use wordhtml.com to essentially type in exactly how you want to format it. I like using bolding. I like breaking out into paragraphs, breaking out my product specifications into bullets to make it as legible as possible. And I highly recommend that you do that. And it's also an opportunity to make sure that your description is indexed. So make sure you're stacking as many keywords as possible. Really, the description is also an opportunity to tell a brand story. Now, I ran across a product recently that talked about how the founders of the company or the founders of the brand were a husband and wife duo. I found that to be really compelling. I've also seen people say that they give a portion of the proceeds towards a certain charity. That's definitely compelling. But ultimately, what they're trying to get at is they're trying to convince us as customers why we should buy from them. So as you write this product description and you come up and craft your brand story, I want you to think about, how does your brand resonate with people? How can you get across that you're different? And how can you come across as a brand that cares and a brand that someone wants to support? Now, on top of product descriptions, if you have brand registry, and I touched on this earlier, you're allowed to use images and detailed copy. And it allows you to add even more great storytelling with images. Let's say if you're the husband-wife duo, you can add images of you two together. There's a lot of different options for maximizing this section. So again, I'm a huge fan of enhanced brand content. This section is also indexed as well. And so if you have an opportunity, definitely register your trademark. Definitely make sure you get Brand Registry 2.0. I think it's worth all the trouble. So here's a great example of a listing that takes full advantage of the enhanced brand content section. So here, the brand is highlighted on top, Prep Naturals, and on the left, they really take advantage of incorporating both text and imagery to really convey all the features of the product and also make sure that you can imagine yourself using the product. So every single feature is highlighted, and there's an expansion of why you should trust the brand, why it makes your life more convenient, and it incorporates both imagery and brand resonance. So this is a really great example of how enhanced brand content is used, and it's definitely a far cry better than just a plain description. Next, we'll go into the backend search terms. So the backend search terms are the terms that are not visible on the front end. This has been a place or a hot topic within the keyword optimization community for quite a while, because you're allowed 5 lines, but not all of them get indexed. And what we found through a lot of experimentation is that actually only 250 characters in total gets indexed. So that means really only 1 or 2 lines are useful when you're trying to get search terms indexed here. So what this is useful for is for including any kind of key terms that you find are not necessarily relevant to be placed on the front end of your listing, or at least front facing. So this means any kind of secondary keywords that are broader or very, very long-term keywords. We want to maximize the use of the space here. So when you're separating out keywords here, there's no need for you to use commas, use only spaces. In terms of what I recommend, do include relevant alternative whole keywords, include misspellings, include different languages. So here in Southern California, for our products, or in the US, a lot of our products could be found in Spanish languages. And so sometimes we'll include a Spanish version of the product in here in case someone makes searches using that term. What I do not recommend that you include are useless terms like pronouns, he, she, the, not including single letters or dashes, periods, or commas. Again, we're limited to just 250 characters, so we want to make sure that we're maximizing that space without you including any kind of useless things that won't get indexed. I would recommend that you minimize the amount of repetitive keywords in the backend search terms. In fact, do not include any duplicates. Make sure when you're including anything here that you run it through Deduplicator. Next is the subject matter field. Similar to the backend search terms, this is a section that won't be front facing, and it has a similar amount of characters that gets indexed. So this is actually one that a lot of people don't take advantage of, and I highly recommend that you do. You're allowed to index up to 50 characters per line, and you're given 5 lines in total. As of now, amazingly, the subject matter field is not yet filtered by Amazon. So what that means is you can do some kind of gray hat stuff, like including your competitors' brand names. Everything is indexed, so please take advantage of this. What we've included is we've included competitor brand names, holidays, relevant events, specific audiences. Let's say your product is perfect for bachelor parties or weddings. It makes a good holiday gift. These are things that you can include here. If it's a good back to school gift, include it here. If you sell a kitchen product and KitchenAid is your main competitor, put it in there. This is definitely an awesome thing. I don't know how much longer this will last, but for now, it's something that's not filtered, and you're welcome to just use trademarks here until, I guess, it just doesn't work anymore. So now that we've gone through every section that gets indexed, I wanted to go over a quick pro tip. One thing you want to always make sure of, and I've touched on this before, is the importance of being mobile friendly. Now, if you look at this survey, you can see that nearly 50% of people shop on Amazon via their smartphone. So always, when you're looking at the copy, and I touched on this in the title, make sure your listings look good on mobile. Make sure that the important parts of the listing are in the beginning of the title and that you can see it. 50% of customers shop there as a primary channel. So it's very important that you look at it on your phone and you audit it through that. Okay, so we've now gone through all the different sections that get indexed by Amazon. Before we go into the walkthrough, I wanted to touch on an important point. Again, and I want to reiterate this, 50% of customers shop on the mobile phone on Amazon as a primary channel. So it's really important that you look at your listings and make sure they look good on mobile. Make sure your title is legible and clear on mobile, and make sure your key points are visible on mobile. All right, guys, let's go ahead and dive into this walkthrough. What I want to do is I want to show you how we can take those keywords that we've mined for the same example at the yoga ball and use it and incorporate it into actually writing good copy for the listing. Hey guys, in this walkthrough, I'm going to show you how you can go ahead and use the tools that I've listed out for you to basically come up with some optimized keyword research copy. So first off, remember we had done primary keywords and secondary keyword research already. We have our list that we want to target. Now I'm going to go ahead and open Frankenstein. I personally like using Frankenstein as a tool for us not Frankenstein, the Scribbles tool in Helium 10. Ascent Tools is a free version. I found it's not as effective. And again, my favorite is Seller Tools, but that is also a more expensive option. So Helium 10 is something that I'm just gonna enter because it's a good one to start with, and we'll put in this. So here we have the keywords that are primary, and I like to maintain phrases to start because I want to make sure that I have the phrases maintained throughout my listing in both the title and the bullets. Okay, and if you'll recall, we had a title in the PowerPoint, and so here's the title, and you can see that there are unused keywords and used keywords. And so what we'll do is we're going to continue to optimize, and we'll go ahead and just start drafting bullet points. And just to make things easier, I'm just going to go ahead and copy my competitor's listing. I don't recommend you do this, I'm just doing this for the sake of time, but we can go ahead and just enter here. So I have some copy to work with. Okay. A second bullet point. Here we go. All right. Now we have this. So now we have a couple bullet points to work with. Okay, now I can revise this copy to make it work just a little better. Okay, now, all right, I will do excellent stability ball for work. Okay, and then you see how that went from here to here, and then I can say versatile use. Okay, and now I want to use Bosu ball. So I'm gonna say live infinitely Bosu balls. Ball. This Bosu ball makes for the perfect addition. Okay, perfect. Now we want Bosu balance ball, so we can do or Bosu balance ball. You see how it's removed slowly? So we basically want to continue to optimize until we have this removed. Then once that's done, we can enter the secondary keywords, okay? And let's just edit this. We will remove maintain phrases. And now we can put this in, and now we can see which ones are not in here yet. So we can put in stabilization, inflatable, and we can start putting this in the back of keywords, right? So easily I can copy this and put this here, and boom, we've already taken care of most of the keywords here. So again, I mean, it's relatively simple. All you have to do is continue to modify the copy until you find that all the keywords from your primary and secondary are in the front end, in the bullets and the title. And I like to make sure to include in the first 80 characters the most important keywords. And you'll see I have exercise ball, balance, fitness, stability, yoga ball. These are all within the first part of the keyword title. And that's going to be really, really, really important for making sure that you're optimizing, especially if you're planning to do giveaways. I hope that makes sense, guys. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. Otherwise, we'll talk soon. Awesome, guys. Now that we've walked through everything, I'm going to go ahead and give you an assignment. This is really important. Now that you have your primary and secondary list to generate your copy and you know how to create a fully optimized listing, I want you to go ahead and start creating that listing using those tools that I've showed you and going and optimizing your listing to the fullest degree. So go ahead and get started, get that done before we hop into the next video. Okay guys, I hope you found this useful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, keep making moves and we'll talk soon.